of the Art of Peace practice. Gone 50, this is stanza 51. That's pretty good. We're well on our way to completing this stanza, and it's just been such a, it just reinforces for me just how interesting it is to follow this as a path of exploration and what the path points out. But this is the part that I think is so neat. It's not what I'm putting out there per se. It's how what I'm putting, or it's what's coming back, and everything just feels very well suited to each stanza, and it's the same way last time. And I can't put an explanation on it. This is the mystery side of it, of the human experience, is where life interacts, life participates. And what we are seeing in our lives is a reflection of what's inside of us. It's not a thing that's happening out there. It's what's happening inside of us being reflected out there, which is almost impossible to understand. So I really won't spend too much time on it. But the bottom line is that life is participating, and it's participating by watching and feeling and engaging with, and then becoming manifest as what it's watching and feeling and engaging with. It's a participatory process, bottom line. So today's title is your ego dominated by OMG or F it? Another way to think about that is your ego dominated by fear or anger? And so what does that mean, dominated by? Okay, so let me explain the OMG experience and the F it experience, okay? OMG is like, oh my God, please stop, just stop. I can't handle this. I can't, please, just, oh my God, this is just gotta stop. I can't, oh my God, this has to stop, Okay, that's OMG, which is fear, okay? So one way to think about the ego is the ego takes place as a analysis of the past and a projection into the future. So ego is always moving around. Ego doesn't stay still. Ego is the part of us that allows for a sense of self and a sense of identity. So you have to think of ego as past and future. You can't think of ego as the present moment. The ego shows up in the present moment as an analysis of the past or a fantasy about the future. So that's the OMG experience. Now, is your ego dominated by fuck it? Fuck it. Fuck these motherfuckers. You want to fucking die? Fucking die slow. Fuck all of you. Fuck all this shit. No one paid attention to me. Fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you, and fuck you. I do not give a fuck about your feelings. I don't give a fuck about any of this shit. Fuck all this. All this bullshit telling me how to be and how this and that and that. Fuck all that. Fuck all you. All you do is this. All you do is that. Fuck you. Fuck you. I can give a fuck about any of this fucking shit. Fuck all this. You know what needs to happen? Burn the fucking shit to the ground. Fuck all of it. I don't give a fuck. Fuck the media. Fuck everything. Fuck it. Fuck you. You don't know me. You don't know shit about me. Fuck you. Fuck you. That's fuck it. Now fuck it, again, ego. Remember, it's analysis of the past and fantasies about the future. Or not just fantasies, but it's imaginations about the future. It's a projection of understanding about the future. And so what happens in the fuck it, okay, in the realm of F it, is anger, okay? So anger is driving you. Now, I'm not going to talk about the value of one or the other. it's irrelevant. What I am going to talk about is the fact that the only thing that really matters is how aware you are of your ego. It's not what type of ego you have. Now you can see the egos that we carry as, kind of as a culture in the conflict in our politics. Remember, the politics is the mental health of the nation. So you can see how one side has a case of OMG, which is fear-based, and the other side has a case of the efforts, which is anger-based. All that is just non-awareness, misunderstanding, being driven by a different end of the spectrum. The only thing to do about it is not to call out the side and say this side's better, that side's better, it shouldn't be this or you shouldn't be that. It's to practice the art of peace. I mean, it's really, and when I say that, I also mean mindfulness. I mean, you don't have to study the art of peace per se, but the practice of the art of peace isn't about doing this or that. It's not about if you do it this way, it'll be this, or if you do it that way, it'll be that. No, it's about the things underneath that stuff. It's about, instead of the water is flowing this way, it's water flows. Instead of the air is this way, or let me not give you too many. Instead of how the water is flowing, how should it flow, all this other kind of stuff, it's that it flows. And so what you're trying to get to inside the practice is the space that things develop out of, not how they develop out of the space. You studied zero, in essence, not one or two. You study the foundation. You understand the foundation. You don't necessarily try to make particular manifestations. And so the 51st stanza is what I'm talking about. It's not a contest between OMG or effort. It's an understanding of where OMG and effort are coming from, and then attacking the problem from there. And so there's no 51. There are no contests in the art of peace, right? There's no this versus that. A true warrior is invincible because he or she contests with nothing. It's not that. What that means is not, I'm not interacting with OMG or effort. That's not it. Its defeat means defeat the mind of contention that we harbor within. It's not we've got to get rid of the efforts so that the OMGs can win. It's not we have to destroy the weakness of the OMGs so the efforts can win. That has nothing to do with what the 51st stanza is all about. The 51st stanza goes to either side and says, hey, you do realize that you're in an OMG-based set, right? That everything you're doing is geared towards the kind of elimination of OMG, right? I mean, you do understand that? Most people don't. Most people do not understand mental health at all. They don't see how it relates to them. They don't see it. And that's part of the challenge that we're in right now, is most people don't have any idea what mental health is. Go to the efforts. You do realize that what you're doing and what you're trying to do is X, Y, and Z. No, it's not that. It's like, hey, do you know where your feeling's coming from? Well, I'll tell you who I can blame. No. Where's it coming from? Most people don't know. Most people do not know why they do what they do. And even if they do know why they do what they do, they don't know how to do anything about it. And that is mental health. Mental health is recognizing your internal environment, number one. Number two, cultivating tools that can help you navigate what's showing up. And then three, recognizing that you're not those things. You're not what's showing up. You're the awareness of what's showing up. You are the frame that all this stuff comes out of, okay? Instead of studying what's coming out of the frame, you study the frame. And once you start to study the frame, you can begin to see how your framework is facilitating your experience of existence. How your framework is facilitating the experience of your existence. As you start to figure that out, you start to see that your experience of existence has far more to do with the type of awareness you have and what you focus on and what you pay attention to than it does what's happening. Because what's happening is just change. It's just constant. And so a lot of people try to get the change squared away. Some people use anger. Some people use fear. These are kind of the polarities, right? One is kind of, it's like saying the lizard brain is worthless compared to the prefrontal cortex, because the prefrontal cortex does mathematics and bigger stuff, and the lizard brain doesn't do anything but survival. That's stupid. That's just dumb. They're equally valuable, because without each other, they're both dead in the water. Neither of them can exist without the other. So to claim one is superior to the other is stupid. So all fear is the kind of prefrontal cortex manifestation. But the prefrontal cortex manifestation, and all anger is the lizard brain's manifestation. Both have met the limits of their capabilities, and they both start acting up. But am I my lizard brain? No. Am I my prefrontal cortex? No. I'm the combination of them. I'm the combination of them, and what I have is an awareness that helps me understand and navigate that these are part of my experience. And I use mindfulness to be aware of what's showing up in a non-judgmental way, so that I have the greatest amount of options to choose for how to manage it. Like, that's what mental health is. A lot of people, I think mental health is just be happy. No, it's not that. It's not that at all. And the challenge that we face right now is that nobody knows on the grand scale what mental health is, and everyone's just trying to get theirs. They're just trying to get theirs. I'll get power. We'll just get power. Everything will be great with power. So we're in this misunderstanding of mental health, and that's okay. It's kind of where we are. The fact that we're having the conversation is way better than where we've been. That means we've made progress. But the progress is not going to come from out there. The progress is going to come from inside you. And so what that means is, can you defeat the mind of contention that we harbor within? Which is, can you recognize that your effort is in conflict with OMG, and can you not be in conflict with OMG? Instead of just fighting OMG from the perspective of effort, or fighting effort from the perspective of OMG, can you recognize what you really are, and then quiet down that fight? Because this notion that the fight is coming from the top down is an incomplete notion. It's not top down. It's not bottom up. It's bottom up and top down. It's bottom up and top down. It's not one or the other. It's both. And so if we want to facilitate the type of kind of environment where the OMGs and the efforts are respected, then we have to cultivate that within ourselves. And as we cultivate that within ourselves, that will become reflected in the world around us. But it takes us. It's not you, just you. It takes us. But in the meantime, you've got to work on you. Now, fortunately, you've got Armor Down. And the 4 bells are perfect for navigating mental health challenges and facilitating mental health in general. And the reason why is because the 4 bells specifically focus on the basic foundations of what it is to be human. Not fixing those foundations, but showing you how to pay attention to them. And through the act of paying attention, you can learn how to fix your stuff. And by fix, I don't mean there's a perfect place to get to. No. By fix, I mean recognizing the conflict and defeating that conflict. Once you defeat the conflict that you have within, and by that I mean you allow it to be there without dominating you. Once you allow it to be there without dominating you, the conflict doesn't know what to do. Without the domination, without the need, without the drama, without the energy, conflict goes like crickets. Conflict dies when there's no conflict. So the second you embrace the conflict, the second you shine the light on the conflict goes. Conflict just can't work on its own. The only thing that stands on its own solidly is love. That's it. So you can build off of love. You can build off all kinds of stuff. The thing about love is love accepts everything. So that's the only thing. Conflict fights everything. So if you're not fighting conflict and you start to pay attention to the conflict within, it dies. It just can't hang. So that's an understanding about mental health that it's just not, people don't understand it. People are describing mental health from their misunderstanding of mental health as mental health is this or mental health is that. No, mental health is paying attention, knowing how to pay attention. And the only thing out there that has a name, right, has a name that's attached to scientific accreditation, that's attached to studies, that's attached to peer review stuff, so it's got all the proper language associated with it, is mindfulness. That's the only thing. Now, it can be couched in all kinds of other language, but the only art form out there about paying attention is mindfulness. So if you're not studying mindfulness, you're just being silly. It's like I don't drive cars. Why won't you drive a car? I like my horse and buggy. Why? I just don't feel like learning how to drive a car. I'm good with the horse and buggy. Okay, is it a religious thing? Is it no? I just like what I like. Mindfulness. You have to get on this. You have to understand yourself better. You have to. You just have no choice. And also you have to, because if you have kids and you don't understand your shit, then they're not going to understand theirs. And it's just going to perpetuate. So we need you to get on board with this mindfulness stuff. So let's practice. Pay attention to what's around you with sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. Who you are talking to is the base of the effort, right? The effort is based in survival, right? Anger, survival, like I'm going to, right? So to settle the efforts, the anger, the worry, the anger that you come into sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. Just to quiet. Notice sight, light and shadow. Curiosity tames anger. And as you look around and notice that there's nothing to be worried about, then you can close your eyes and you hear around and there's nothing to be worried about. You start to see how both the efforts and the OMGs start to settle into the present moment. See, the OMGs can't work if you're in the present moment. OMG is future-based. It's imaginatory. It's what's going to happen. Oh my God. As you come into your sound, smell, touch, the present moment. It's hard for these things to exist without stimulus if your attention's on the present moment. Notice smell, taste. Second bell. ground. What's beneath you? So this is what you're doing in second bell is you're reinforcing what first bell points out, and you're not just making it an intellectual thing. Oh, I can't hear anything. Da 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 da. You now make it physical inside your body. So the ground, you notice your ground. You notice what's beneath you. And what shows up is less important than the act of looking. The act of shifting the lens of awareness to a particular place is more important than what's showing up when you do it. It's the act of moving attention around that matters, not what shows up in attention. What shows up in attention is a second tier practice, and we'll get to that. That's more third bell and fourth bell. But the key part of second bell is moving that lens. So you move from the ground to the pelvis region, sit bones, tailbones, and from there you move up to the core region, belly button, sides, lower back. From there, move up to the heart space region, shoulder blades, collarbones. From there, move up to the throat space, often include jaw, collarbone, throat, front of the throat, inside the throat too. Tip top of the head is the top of the spine, get taller by 1 millimeter, and then be conscious about how alert and upright you are, and allow the alert uprightness to just support the rest of the musculature, not the skeletal structure, but the musculature around the skeletal structure to be softer, to be unused. So anything in the face can soften. Eyes, cheeks, nose, lips, chin. Cross the shoulder blades, cross the collarbones, that can soften. You're upright with your spine, so everything else can be softened and let go. The armor down part, right? So this is the different steps of armor down. Okay, now we're going to go to third bell. Third bell is breath. So now this is where we interact, okay? So what you're doing in bell 1 and 2 is recognizing what's there in the present moment. And you're working to get out of the future or the past and all that other kind of stuff where the ego lives, right? You're working to move away from that, not to fight the ego, but say to ego, hey, ego, come check this out. And the ego's like, what? And you say, hey, notice your sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. And the ego's like, oh, okay, but what about, hey, what? And the ego's like, well, what about this? Or what about that? What about this news story? What about that? Blah, blah, blah. You're like, no, ego, come on, let's go into the body. So the ego's like, all right, fine. So you go into the body, ground, pelvis, core, heart space, throat, top of the head. The ego's like, all right, okay. And now as you're starting to soften and everything, the body's becoming a more pleasant place for the ego to be. So the body's become more parasympathetic. Blood pressure's going down. There's less tension. And now there could be some interest. And now the ego's not just like, kind of like, okay, I'll come along. But now the ego's like, ooh, what's that? Or, oh, I felt that let go. Or, ooh. So now the ego's becoming embodied. So now when you get to the breath work, you start to go into the being of yourself beyond kind of your analysis of yourself. And you start to interact with what's there. Now the first place that you can see, the very first layer of your internal world is your breath. And so there's all these different pieces of your breath that you can start paying attention to. And what we always do is we try to set a baseline. So just understand where your breath is as it currently is operating. And from there, max it out. Set kind of the boundaries of your breath today. And let's just go through side breathing. So recognize the sides as you breathe. Picture your side ribs as you're inhaling, max inhaling, and notice how you can feel the side ribs move. front to back, visualize the front of your body and the back of your body moving as you breathe, noticing how you can notice that. Now max out up and down, notice how you can notice that. Now notice the three all kind of taking place as you max out breath for 3 rounds. Now I'm going to sit for a minute. As you max out breath for 3 rounds, notice how you might be able to feel sides, front, back, and up, down in the sequence of the full maxed out inhale. When you come to the point where you're just going to sit, just notice the speed at which your thoughts are kind of moving. And if your thoughts are run away to the future or the past or some sort of story, try to bring your thoughts back to your breath. Do that for about a minute. So the fourth bell is a engagement with the fact that we are bigger than our ego. We're bigger than our bodies. There's a quality to the human experience that's beyond the individual, that has a kind of mysterious aspect to it, a spiritual aspect to it. I don't care what words you give it, it's just the fact of the matter is that there's more going on than we're aware of. And so to interact with that space, we have things like gratitude and compassion. So in the context of today's training, let's focus on kind of what do we do about the fact that the conflict exists? So it's not just if you destroy the conflict within, it doesn't mean you've destroyed conflict. It simply means that you yourself have created an environment that allows those things to be there. And instead of fighting the fact that they're there, you interact with them in a way that's kind of wholesome and can be sustained and can really support evolution, right? And so the best way to do that is to cultivate gratitude and compassion. And so let's finish with the gratitude and compassion practice. So I put my hand on my heart. I take my right hand and I put it kind of underneath my left kind of chest region. Okay, so the heart is kind of left side, so I kind of wrap around the heart a little bit with my left hand, my right hand. And I take my left hand and I put it underneath my right thumb. And so I try to have as much kind of coverage of the space of my heart with my hands as I can. And then I just kind of get quiet and look to feel the heart. And once I have awareness of the sensation in my heart, I then start to cultivate a sense of gratitude. And gratitude is just a good way to start being open-hearted, right? So gratitude kind of opens the heart in a real kind of innocuous, non-threatening, everybody can practice gratitude kind of way. So just think about some things that you're really grateful for, maybe some stuff that's just been awesome over the weekend, or maybe something right now that's really cool, or something that's coming up. You can let your ego just do its thing and run all around and pick all kinds of things to be grateful for if you want. Or if you have a hard time picking things to be grateful for, think of real simple stuff. Like I got a pocket knife that I carried in Iraq that I've been carrying for just forever, and I'm so appreciative of it. I use it every single day. It's awesome. So that's real simple. Bigger is I'm actually grateful for the sides. I'm grateful for all the conflict that's happening right now, because we have to have it in order to get to the next stage of where we want to be. We can't stay where we were and get to where we're going unless we go through this hard stuff. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the practice. I'm grateful to have you all paying attention and interacting with me through this digital dojo that we've created. And that's really cool. And so I'm just really, really pleased that this is part of my life. And I'm so grateful to be experiencing this way. So then you've opened your heart to now go into compassion. And that compassion is recognizing suffering exists, and recognizing that suffering is in other people, just like suffering is in you. So in your own mind, you can quietly to yourself think of anybody suffering, and maybe an OMG or an F it ego who's stuck thinking that, life is coming to an end as we know it from one perspective or the other. And then, of course, you're fighting against other people who think differently, and et cetera, et cetera. All those people out there that are really suffering, really stuck in a deep case of the F-its, or really stuck in an OMG, and just so stuck. And for all those people out there, I open my heart to you, and I hope you find some peace, and I hope you recognize that there's far much more kind of to be experienced about those things than you're realizing. And I understand and I recognize your pain, and I offer you my goodwill. I offer you the best of me, and all that I can offer, and whatever impact that may have, I offer that to you, and hope you can find some peace of mind today, and some rest and some ease. And I like to take 2 breaths, and on the second exhale, I'll finish the practice. So I'll read the stanza one more time, and then we'll be done for the day. There are no contests in the art of peace. A true warrior is invincible because he or she contests with nothing. The art of peace is defeat means to defeat the mind of contention that we harbor within. That's the real stuff right there. All right, we're good. All right, armor down. See you tomorrow.